One of my favorite movies is this movie called Inception. Have you seen Inception?
Is that the one with Gabrielle Union?
No, no. This is basically a mostly white cast. Inception is this movie about people who learn how to enter your dreams to either extract information or input information, because you know that's your subconscious and you can't take anything out of your subconscious at all. Once something is in your subconscious, it's there. It doesn't come out. We forget that. And all of the shit that we intake all day, every day, we forget that you can't extract anything from your subconscious. So people are constantly pumping stuff into our heads all day because we can't close our ears. People are constantly pumping stuff into our heads. I say all that to say that in this movie, I learned a very important thing, and it has stuck with me since that movie came out. And that is the main character in the movie is Leonardo DiCaprio. And in the movie, he has a wife. And he's talking about his wife the whole time, but he only sees her in dreams. And he's one of the master people who knows how to go in to people's dreams, other people's dreams. Like if you're a corporation, the head of a corporation or whatever, somebody would pay him to go into your dreams and put an idea in your head so maybe you won't sell the company off or something like that. You know, they did that type of stuff. It was really a really interesting movie. So Leonardo DiCaprio's wife, Leonardo DiCaprio taught his wife how to go into dreams. So they would go into dreams together. And in dreams, you have to build the environment when you're there, right? So him and his wife in dream time is different from regular time. Like 10 minutes in a dream is like a year. So he taught his wife how to go into these dreams and everything like that. And they were building this world, like their dream world. Everything they ever wanted was in this world. They had kids in real life, but their kids were killed somehow. No, their kids were taken away.
In real life?
In real life, their kids were taken away or something like that. I forget that part of the story, but that's not germane to what I'm about to say. So he teaches his wife to do this, and his wife begins to not be able to tell dream from reality. She thinks the dream world is the real world, and the real world is the dream world. So she always wants to be in a dream. And after a while, she says, look, the only way we'll be able to stay in the real world is if we kill ourselves here. And she jumps out of a window, telling her husband to come with her. Right. So what messes the underlying message that you don't really find out in this movie is that the idea to kill herself came from him. He put the idea in his wife's head in a dream. So watching that as a younger person, I'm a little bit more seasoned now. Watching that as a younger person, it made me pay attention to all of the things that I am intaking all the time. Because again, you can't get an idea out of your subconscious once it is in there. The people who run this country know that. And they're playing on it right now. So just, to be mindful that your hearing is always open, even when you sleep. Your hearing is always open. And we keep thinking that we can only see with our eyes. But have you ever been asleep and someone walked into your bedroom and all of a sudden you pop up awake and they didn't even do anything? They just walked into the space. You ever had that happen? Yeah. That tells you it wasn't just, we keep going, oh, I felt them. You can see them. You don't need your eyes to see. We have what are called retinal receptors at different places in our body, like plants do. There are cells that can do multifunctional things in our bodies. We didn't get into that in biology too much, but to know that is to understand that you are always experiencing and sensing and taking in information even when you're asleep. So being mindful of your surroundings and taking people out of your environment who can subliminally plant things. Because we're not very mindful of the little quirky things that our friends do and our families do that irritate the shit out of us. But we think because they're our friend, because that's family, we tolerate it. We continue to continue to be around people who are doing things that are putting toxic ideas into us. We don't understand that until you see a child cuss for the first time and you wonder, where did they get the cuss words from? Until you see a child go up and hit another child and take a toy from them or something, and you wonder, well, where did they get that from? They watched it, they saw it, they sensed it. It was something that they intook. They believed in it enough to enact it in real time, to use it in their experience. Little things like, and that's not a little thing, actually, that's a bigger thing. But there are always, other people's behavior is always influencing us. What I realized, and it's funny to me that I realized this while I was on the dance floor, or trying to get on the dance floor. I was trying to dance at the club this past weekend. And I think about it often, about our torus, 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 of energy, which is the energy that cycles in your electromagnetic field all the time. That field, as I've said before, expands out to 9 meters, 27 feet. And it can contract to just where you are. If you have an electromagnetic field that is 27 feet and somebody else has one that is 27 feet and y'all are sitting 10 feet apart, guess what? Y'all are in each other's energy. You're in each other's space. You're in each other's electromagnetic fields. And particles from each other's fields commingle. And when you leave, you take some of those particles of that person with you, and they take some of the particles of you with them. And then you wonder later why you all of a sudden in a bad mood. All of a sudden you feel like you're going through something and nothing is going wrong. You've been out amongst people. You brought back things that don't belong to you. They're not supposed to stay with you. We have to learn how to get that type of stuff away from us and out of us, to not let it affect us in those ways. Sometimes we go out somewhere, all of a sudden we come back home and we got a headache, don't know where, just out of nowhere. Sometimes it'll be your stomach start hurting. All of a sudden now you just feel like all of a sudden, your stomach cramping and you don't even understand where that's coming from. You have been amongst people who have different things going on with them and it is now affecting you, or you have brought particles of them back home with you. Yeah. We forget that when you remember as a kid, I remember going as a kid, we would go on car rides. And I am my mother's middle child. So it was always my brother and my sister with me. And because I was the middle child, I was often sitting in the middle of the back seat. And so, you know how that when you have siblings and all of a sudden, stop touching me. You're touching me. Stop touching me. Ma, he's touching me. Ma, she's touching me. If y'all all in the car, y'all gonna be touching anyway. You all in the house, y'all are touching. Because whose house can accommodate 27 feet, actually that's 54 feet apart, in order to not be in somebody else's electromagnetic field? Because if theirs is fully expanded and yours is fully expanded.
It's not even that. Think about your apartment.
Yeah.
So think about the chaos when you live in the city.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm just, it's bringing...
Yeah, it brings it all together when you start imagining exactly what it is that is happening with you. We don't understand. We don't give that enough space. We don't give that enough space in our lives. We don't. We don't give it enough attention. We don't give it enough focus. We don't give it enough weight. Because you should really be picking the people who are around you very, very carefully. The people around you are going to affect you. I don't care if you think you have a strong mind. I don't care if I know who I am. I hear people say that all the time. If you know who you are, why are you around people who don't know who they are? Why are you around people who don't know who they are if you know who you are? It's time for you to change your playgrounds, playthings, and playmates. It's time to level up. See, the thing that we don't talk about when we get into areas of expansion, talking about your consciousness and things like that, elevating your life type things. What is the buzzword? Manifestation. Thank you. Getting into those types of ideas, you have to zoom out. You can't be this close to the idea. You have to zoom out. There's a whole bunch going on, and we have been trained in ways that are not beneficial to us. We wonder why we always feel frustrated, even though we are doing all the things that we have been told that we need to do. And while I'm going to segue on this part, where we talk about all the things that we have been told that we need to do, because I need y'all to lock in when I say you have to get rid of intrinsic value when it comes to relationships, people, and things like that. You have to get rid of believing that there is intrinsic value in a relationship just because the relationship exists. If you put no work into the relationship, you can't extract what you think you're going to extract out of that relationship. Just because you have a kid does not mean that you are going to be happy. You have to treat the child well. You have to educate that child. You have to show that child attention. You have to give it respect and values and understanding. You have to teach it how to communicate. Otherwise, you are going to be frustrated. Your life with your child is going to be other than joyful. You're going to have a lot of miscommunication. You're going to have a bunch of misunderstanding. You are going to have a lot of problems because you did not prepare for this relationship. There's no intrinsic value in having the kids. You have to put the value there. Many of you believe that getting married is going to make your life wonderful. It is a fairy tale that you have been given and have been told about since you can remembering. There's no intrinsic happiness in marriage. Unless you and your mate have put the value into the relationship, you aren't going to extract. Just because he's there does not mean he is going to be the husband that you desired after a few years. Just because she is there does not mean, and you have married her, you put the ring on, y'all had the big wedding, you were in front of all your family and friends, does not mean that when she gets home, she is going to do the things that you expected her to do. It doesn't. And you need to realize that. A lot of us think that that these rituals have magic in them. Having the ritual of having a baby is magically going to bring joy into your life. It is not necessarily going to do that. Getting married is going to magically bring joy into your life. That is not necessarily what is going to happen. There's work that has to be done behind the scenes in order for those things to happen. In order for your marriage to be wonderful, you and your mate have to learn how to communicate. And you have to learn how to understand. And you have to learn how to give and take. You have to learn what reciprocity is. You have to learn how to take 20% when you need 50. You have to learn all of that. You have to learn that you are not going to be number one all the time. That there is a job that your mate has to have. That you all now have children that have to be taken care of. All of these different things that play their part now in your life need to be addressed, as well as the fact that you're still in a relationship. See, we forget that. And then the other thing one of the things that happens in that little breakdown is that people forget that it was the relationship that created all the stuff in your life. The relationship is what created the marriage and the kids and the house and all of that. The relationship is what you do. So you have to take care of the thing that created all of that. You got to take care of the thing that created all of that. You can't get in the marriage and then stop doing the things that you did for your spouse to get them, because what you did to get them is what is going to keep them.
You need to elevate that too.
Let me repeat myself. The things that you did to all the flowers, the candy, the calling, the hey boo, I'm just checking on you, the sending the money to get to this, I just love you text, all the rest of that stuff can't stop after you get married. A lot of people do that. A lot of us think that love is a everlasting, always sustaining glue. It's always going to bring everything together. They think that just because you have love, that you will make it through everything. And you know what? One of my favorite songs in the world is by a woman called Stephanie Cook. And the song is called Love Will. And in the song, she talks about love will find a way. Love will find a way. See, many of us think that just because we love somebody, that feeling is going to create a pathway through whatever problem or situation it is you're going through. Because we love each other, it's going to work out. No. There are plenty of people who love each other who are divorced right now. Love usually isn't the thing. You have to learn how to communicate about money. You have to learn how to communicate about what it is raising children and what it is you should teach your children as they're being reared by you both. You have to come to a common understanding of what it means to keep house and whose responsibilities are whom. You have to come to a common understanding of who's going to cut the grass, who's going to do the dishes, who's going to mop the floor, who's going to clean off the dining room table after everyone has finished eating, who's going to vacuum, who's going to walk the dog, who's who. There has to be a taking out the trash. Yes. Yeah. How can I freaking forget that one?
Like,
How could I forget that? I know, right? And we will. That's the last one I will list because that was the best. Yes. Who is going to take out the trash? All of that has to be understood. You have to You have to find a way. It is not magically going to make itself out because you believe that you are in love. Love doesn't have any value like that. It doesn't move. Love is not will. In fact, you ain't going to love your spouse all the time. You ain't going to love your kids all the time. You're going to feel a different way about them depending on the situation in the day, what you're going through, what they're going through, what you all have to put up with each other together. It's going to be different. Love is not an ever sustaining and everlasting feeling that is going to permeate throughout your relationship for the entirety of it. If that were so, more people would be still married. The divorce rate wouldn't be over 50%. We have to get out of the fairy tale mode. It is time to come out of the fairy tale mode. And the people who it was my thought that more women suffered from the fairy tale mode than men. But I see that men cause themselves more harm with the fairy tale mode because they get into a position where there's something expected of them and they have no idea how to execute it. A man will get into, many men, not all men, obviously. If you have a great man, you have a great man. If you have a great wife, you have a great wife. I'm not talking to you. You can scroll. I am talking to the people who are out there who think, who this has caught your ear because it sounds familiar. That's who I'm talking to. So you get these people in your life. You have to communicate. And there's a young man, what's his name? Jason something. I forget his name. He's on TikTok. Who said, who talked about, the inequity of our relationships, particularly black people. He was talking about specifically in the United States because of the inequity that is created financially for men and women with different issues. The financial issues that face black women are slightly different than the economic issues that face black men. Excuse me. So trying to date with an unfair dynamic when you or your partner has been brought up to believe in this fairy tale of this man making you secure and providing for you when he can barely provide for himself because of the economic conditions that he's placed in this country, the socioeconomic conditions that he lives in this country, rather. But you expect him to pull up like every white man. That's not going to happen all the time. That's not going to be most people's experience. And that's the thing that we have taken out of society is our ability to deal with nuance in any real way. I'm going to say that to you again. We have taken out of society our ability to deal with nuance in any real way. One of the reasons I say that is because we get so caught up in gender roles that most of the time what you believe a man should do or a woman should do within a relationship or around the house is something that somebody else has given to you, not something that you've come to find out is joyful for you or is something that fits the paradigm of your life. No, it's what you've been told to expect. You expect him to go out and quote unquote bring home the bacon. You expect her to stay home and cook and clean and look after the kids, even though she's working as many hours as you. That's inequity. It's going to create resentment. We have to get out of the mindset of listening to what other people have told us to think. The greatest thing I think that the greatest disability that we have as a human race is we don't want to take responsibility for the decisions that we have to make in our lives. We like somebody to give us a pre-planned, preset idea to follow. We have lost our ability to just feel our way through, which is why many of us live in such desperation, frustration, and anger. Because we can't live authentically. We've been taught to dismiss the nuance that we actually enjoy in life in favor of fitting into everybody else's paradigm. I have to fit the mold, which means I have to go and I have to get married within 3 years, and I got to have at least 150 people at the wedding. The dress has to be this. The ring has to be a certain size. The dress has to cost a certain amount of money. We have to have a certain place for the reception. All of these things that you are putting on yourself and taking on as a monument to this relationship, when many of you haven't even put that much energy into the goddamn relationship. If you did, there would be less divorce. Too many people put so much energy into the wedding that they forget that there's a marriage behind that. You are such in a hurry to live the fairy tale and have the dream wedding that you forget the fuck about the marriage. Listen, I listen to a lot of, and I know that some of these stories on Reddit aren't real. There are people who write them up, just for entertainment. That I'm aware. But I am also, because I have been listening to Reddit stories for a long time, aware that a lot of this stuff is actually going on in people's lives. We have lost the ability to say no to other people for our own joy. And in so many different ways. And it's the things that we... All right. I'm jumping out the window right now. Excuse me. One of the reasons you all find, and when I say you all, I'm talking about women for the most part. One of the reasons you all find men so frustrating is because you all do not allow men to be the type of man that they would actually want to be. I'm going to say it again. One of the reasons that you all find men so frustrating is because men are not allowed to naturally evolve into the type of human that they would feel comfortable in their own skin, because they are held to stereotypes, mostly by themselves, but also by women.
And vice versa.
Yeah, I'm getting to it. You have to, we shackle ourselves. We are shackling ourselves. The nuance, the fact that we still think in binary when it comes to sexuality is the biggest hindrance in our lives that I can imagine, because it pigeonholes you the moment you are brought into this world. That's the first category you are put into. Male, female. Then they throw your race on you. Then they try to throw the religion on you. Then they throw a last name on you. Before you can walk or talk, you have 4 identities to live up to at least. And because we are such a fucked up society, the amount of greatness that newborn life could achieve is quelled, because we are going to teach that newborn energy binary. Everything is binary. Everything is male or female. It is black or white. It is up or down. It is in or out. There is no in between in any of those things, no matter how much science tells you that there is infinity between 0 and 1. No. You all still want to believe that there are only 2 ways somebody can exist in this world. And it's usually the religious people, which is what fucks it up for me. Because you believe in a guy that can do anything except make people that don't fit the category that you learned. He can do everything. Through him, all things are possible, except the fact that he can make a human being that you don't fucking understand. And because of that, you castigate people. Because of that, you bully people. Because of that, you hurt people. Because of that, because you can't think about the fact that maybe the God that you serve could make something so wonderful. We got to get out of these. We got to get out of it. It's time to break. We in 2020 something. Why are we still holding these ideas? Why do white children still use the word nigga? Why is that so important for you? Why do we lock ourselves into these binaries that we think make sense and actually have value when they don't? I use the term to describe myself as black. The reason I use black is because I know my forebears for at least 3 or 4 generations have come from the continent of Africa specifically. We're still doing genealogy searches in my family to try to go back further. So we have no idea where. So I can't claim a whole continent that I had never experienced. And other than that, my entire personality is American. You drop me off in Africa, I have no idea where to go, no idea what to do, no idea what the customs are, how to live, the rules, the laws. I have no idea. I'm not African. So I use black because it is a distinct term specifically to describe a group of people in this country. That's why I use it. Now, there is the opposite, which is white, but we know where white comes from. That comes from them wanting to have power. That is a power struggle type of thing. So the identity that I use, and you're free to disagree, obviously. If you use something else for whatever reasons, that's fine. This is where I'm at right now. I've called myself different things over different periods of time. As you learn more, you do different things. So let's leave it at that. But to me, the term black just has more weight. We are icons in the world, period. Full stop. We are innovators. We do any trend comes from us. Anything that is popular, anything that is jumping, whether it be music, whether it be visual art, whether it be performance art, we are at the head. You all might not like to acknowledge it when it comes time for accolades, but the fact of the matter is our excellence is excellent. When we out there doing it, we out there doing it. We got our fuck ups like y'all got y'all fuck ups, but when we out there doing it, we out there doing it. So I say all that to say, please remember, you don't have to accept these ideas of up and down, black and white, in and out. There is a multitude of things in between. It's very disheartening to talk to people oftentimes who, let me backtrack before I make that, let me scratch out that statement. What I want to say is, please be aware that when you speak, you reveal the limits of your education. It's just a fact. So it doesn't matter how loud you scream your ignorance, it's still ignorance. And those people who are learning that, trigger words and things like that exist, and people are going to use them, and they're going to use the people who use them are usually the most ignorant. So getting to arguments with these people about these types of issues, it doesn't gain us anything. Whether online or in person, what are we doing? Continue to do the things, the things that I like to see are this, let me say it that way, are when, like, there was a young man and there was a white young lady who called him a nigger, and she was there with a bunch of her girls and female and male friends. So I don't know if this young man was her boyfriend or whatever, but I guess he called himself coming to her defense and defending her honor. And the whole time, all he's doing is selling wolf tickets the whole time. Like, he's really loud and he's really boisterous and he's really like pushing through with his chest. But when there's an open space for him to hit the guy that he's actually talking to, he never throws a swing. And everybody keeps pushing him back. He doesn't need to be pushed back because he's not going anywhere. He's just selling wolf tickets. He is just being loud. The loudest one in the room is usually the weakest one in the room. So we hear these people who are screaming really loudly. That's how you know how weak they are. What we need to learn how to do is not pay attention to it. And I know that sounds simplistic. Let me show you where I'm coming from, or explain where I'm coming from. So if somebody walked up and called you a bag of socks, how would you feel? Upset, hurt, offended? Because being called a bag of socks doesn't have any weight to it. There's no meaning attached to it. There's no history attached to being called a bag of socks. Take away the history when somebody is using the word that they are trying to incite emotion from you. Those are energy vampires. Those are people who want you to just expend your energy. They get off on you expending your energy after they get you riled up. We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to do that anymore. Look, we almost there. Listen, if we could just keep keep going in this direction, we almost there. We already have white people fighting these battles. April 5th, it was mostly white people. We already have white people storming capitals. They don't know that they're doing it for us, but let them do it anyway. Stay your ass home. Do what you need to do for you. That's all. That's all. And getting back to what I was saying about intrinsic value. Intrinsic value, there's no intrinsic value in marriage. There's no intrinsic value in family relationships. A lot of people like to use that. Oh, but we're family. What the fuck does that mean? Family has killed family. There used to be a time when your well, not for most common folk, but particularly among monarchs, your family was the most likely person to kill you because they wanted the seat. If you were in line for a power position, you better watch your back. Family. Family. Family is where people get most of their trauma from. It's not from the street. It's not from being mugged every 10 weeks or whatever. It's none of that. It's your family who teaches you that trauma. So what the fuck does, well, we're family mean? It means nothing unless you have put value into those relationships. Unless you have put trust, respect, understanding, quality. Showing up authentically in those relationships. They don't mean shit. They're nothing but superficial time wasters. It provides you a place to go on the holidays, which are also made up and have no intrinsic value. They're arbitrary. People, they get value because we say they have value, not because they have any real value, not because if we weren't here, they would not exist. The value comes with us. So we spend a lot of time and energy in these directions on these things, trying to make them things that mean something when they really don't. As I get older, I find myself needing and keeping less things because my mind always goes to, well, who's going to use this after I'm gone? Most of the stuff is stuff that only I like. It's just for me. It's only valuable to me. I am the one who gives these things value. It's of little value to anybody else. So watch where you're placing your value. Where your focus goes, energy flows. Where your focus goes, energy flows. That's not for me. That's Dr. What's his name? It's Joe Dispenza. Thank you. Where your focus goes, energy flows. And please note that is in every direction. It is negatively and positively. A lot of us like to vent, and I'm guilty of it. I try to do it less as I learn more. But a lot of us like to vent. We like to relay conversations, and that is actually reigniting that same feeling and energy in you. That is reliving the experience. Your body doesn't know the difference between it happening in 3D space and it only happening in your mind. Your subconscious has no idea. It doesn't know. So if you sit there, So if you sit there and ruminate on a problem, you are reliving that problem. You are re-releasing whatever chemicals were released in your brain when you experienced that trauma. And now your body has to deal with it again. And your body, for people who do this incessantly, your body isn't made to handle those chemicals all the time. It begins to break down your systems. It can attack you from the inside in various places. And then you wonder how you got an immune deficiency, an immunosuppression disorder of some sort. Yeah, because all these, you sit and ruminate on these things. Chemicals are re-released in your body. Now all of a sudden you have cancer. Now all of a sudden all these other things, your body, this organ is failing. You keep thinking about things that are causing you harm. You can't pretend your way out of this either. You can't fake your way out of your own mind. So you can sit and go, well, I try to keep positive thoughts all you want. You trying to. You have to forge a way. Love will find a way. You have to forge a way. You have to find a way. If you're worth it, because it's your life, it's you. You're the only person there. You have to find a way to make it work. Be mindful. Your job has no intrinsic value. And is probably taking more from you by way of your health, by way of your time, than they're paying you. I know you think you got a good job and it is paying everything and you living fabulously. Your job is keeping you a slave. All the things that you are now are paying for on time, because that's what you're really doing, are nothing but things that are going to keep you beholden to the job. The job is not freedom. It might take you on a vacation every year, but really the job is for whatever house or apartment that you live in that you want to floss out of, whatever car it is you want to floss in, whatever wardrobe you want to floss in, whatever jewelry you want to floss in, whatever other accoutrement that you feel you need to make your life look like it's worth things to other people. Yeah. So now if you don't go to work, all of this shit don't get paid for. Your kids don't get the nice, what is it, PlayStation 11 or whatever. I don't know. They don't get the new iPhone 43. They don't get none of that. You got to go to work. We have been stripped of our joy. We have also been stripped of the time and opportunity to find it. They make sure that you are so busy that you can never find your joy. You can experience it in this place or that place, but usually those places are places that are owned by them, where they're going to take your money for finding your joy. Yeah. It's not just your job keeping you busy. It is the amount of time that you have to spend thinking about your job in the morning and how to get there, and the traffic that you have to endure to get there, and the car that you have to pay for to get there, and the insurance that you have to carry on that car in order for you to drive it in order to get there, and the registration that you had to pay on that car in order to get the insurance in order for you to drive it, for you to get there, and the gas that you had to put into that car after you have already paid this insurance and this registration and this car note, this gas that you had to put in there to get to work, to now pay for all that stuff. I hope y'all are with me. I hope y'all are with me. Yeah, don't let that shit go down. Because having to pay for a car while you still paying for a car that's some bullshit. Let me tell you about it. I know from personal experience. That's some bullshit. There are very few things that could make me madder than that. Having to pay for fixing the car while I'm still paying for buying this bitch. We don't understand the entanglement that we have in our comfort. They count on our entanglement to comfort and luxury. They count on our entanglement to luxury and comfort to extract more of your wealth from you. It is a money grab. Everything in this country is a money grab. we participated in it far too willingly. Far too willingly. I saw some bill that they were getting ready to pass, that they just passed, I think. Is it the SAVE Act? Where people, if you are married, one of the stipulations is if you're married and you changed your last name, all of the things that you have to do in order to be able to vote now. Because if your name is different than what's on your birth certificate, then they won't let you vote. They just passed that. That's wild. The things that are happening right now are wild. And they keep us so bound up to seeking our comfort and paying for our comfort that we can't even rebel against them. We think if we take a few days off work to go down there to protest, all of a sudden our job's going to be gone. And then all of these things that we have to pay for will fall apart. We haven't gotten to the point yet where we are, people go, yeah, I will die for my kids. What about the life that you live to make your kids' life better? What about that? Will you do that? Will you make sure that this government doesn't make sure your kids can't get married and still participate in government? Are you willing to do that? Because I don't see as many people willing to do that. They'll tell you in a minute, I'll die for my kids. But they're not willing to take off work and risk leaving their job to go and make sure that our government does what the fuck it's supposed to do and do right by posterity. Will you do that? You'll die for him, but will you do that? I will do anything for love, Meatloaf said, but I won't do that. I think I'm going to listen to that in a little while. Because it's ridiculous. They keep you busy. They keep you going to work. They keep you taking your kids to the ballet and football practice and all these other activities and all these things to keep you busy from seeking actual joy, from finding who you really are. If some of you were actually allowed to explore your lives, you wouldn't be with the partners that you are with now. If some of you were actually allowed to authentically explore your lives, you wouldn't fuck with your family the way you do. If some of you actually were courageous enough to live the life that you can live, you wouldn't be posted on Facebook about these fake bitches. You would kick these fake bitches out your life.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not courageous enough. We are not confident enough in ourselves to know that life is still going to be good for us if we make these decisions differently. If we are more proactive, our life is still going to be good because we're going to be proactive and make sure that it's good. Our children's lives are going to be better because we're going to be proactive and make sure that they're better. We're not proactive. We are reactive right now. We wait until they do something and then we're up in arms. And that's where they want us. They want us always after the fact. After they've done their dirt, that's where they want us. To say that, oh, they were so upset. They did this. They did this. They don't give a fuck. You are trained monkeys to them. You are still going to show up and do what the fuck it is that they need you to do to continue to grow their businesses, to continue to pay the mortgages on properties that you don't own, to continue to pay taxes on those same properties, to continue to pay HOA fees on top of taxes and mortgages, to continue to do all of this shit. They want you there. And then go to work to pay for the Lexus or the Porsche or the Hyundai. They want you there. They want you tired. They want you maxed out. They want you frustrated, but they don't want you in action. They want you to feel a whole bunch of shit. Feel whatever the fuck it is you want to feel, but don't come down here asking us to change our agenda. And we've fallen for it. We are still in the comfort of our homes and driving in the comfort of our vehicles. But not to make sure that the government does right. No, we're going to work. Like good slaves do. That's what good slaves did. Didn't matter what was going on the plantation. You were still in the field doing the work. You stayed doing the work. No, they were still making laws and having governments and creating a nation. And we were not allowed. we were doing the work. And now they have us still doing the work. I hope that I have said something that has rung in your spirit. I really do. I hope I have said something that has made you want to do some research. I hope I've said something that has made you think a little bit differently about some of the things that are happening. I hope I've made you think differently about the way that you think. That is ultimately my agenda. Last part I want to say about this in regard to our inability to get rid of the binary system that we have been taught and have been programmed into us. You know, part of that system, the binary system, is to keep you always looking at somebody else in opposition. It's to always have you look at somebody who doesn't look quite like you and see them as a completely opposite thing. Somebody has a different ritual than you, they are an opposite thing. Somebody dresses differently than you, they are an opposite thing. Their hair is different, they're an opposite thing. And it keeps us looking at things in opposite. And the reason that that is dangerous is because as long as we see people opposite us and never in the same humanity as us, there are other systems that they have put in place get to take place. They work well when we're looking at things through a binary system like that. Things like racism, obviously, but also things like you all call it homophobia. It's really just ignorance. Because nobody is actually fearing homosexuals. Y'all aren't afraid of us. You attack us. Verbally, physically, sexually, because you can't get your mind out of binary. You think that if you date a man openly, people are going to look at you different, so you have to date this woman. So you'll bash the man and terrorize him sexually and then go back to women. We know that there are those of you who do that. Like Suge Avery said, he hate me for not being you. There are a lot of men who operate like that. They keep the woman at home because that's what society wants, and they need to make a good impression. But who they really want, usually Republicans, check the RNC and check Grindr. Is it Grindr? Yeah, Grindr. Grindr. Just Google Grindr RNC. You'll see exactly what I mean. I talk about this all the time. Those are them. Those are them. They go home to wives after fucking men. So that binary thinking keeps you policing people who you think are less than you. It keeps you policing people who you think don't deserve the same things that you have. It keeps white women constantly keeping little black kids out of a neighborhood that they think is white. It keeps white men constantly accosting young black teenagers, usually because they're attracted to them. They want to be with them sexually and don't know how to deal with that. That's something we have to start saying fucking openly. Because there have been too many policemen and too many cases of young black men who were sexually assaulted by policemen now. That's coming out more. And it's young black men, specifically. So they're going hunting for them. That means they have a type. And we add to it. We throw our 2 cents in there about, who we don't like, and this is wrong, and it's against the Bible, and you add to it. You're part of the problem. You are part of the problem. Because usually it's people who know the exact feeling of what it feels to be discriminated against, who discriminate the hardest against somebody else. It's usually white women oftentimes, who are talking about getting some little kid, a black kid out of there because you don't have the power that you think you should have in your life. Your power is only in proximity to the white man in your life. We through playing these games. We call it spades. We dealing. We are dealing this year. Fuck that. We are dealing the cards this year. Every spade is going to get called a spade, bitch. So, again, I really do. I hope that I have said something that you can take with you, something you can cogitate about, something you can put into communication with the other people around you. You can have your friends tagged in this video and have a conversation about it. But do your own research. At the end of it all, do your own research. You don't have to believe anything that's coming out of my mouth, and you don't ever have to agree with any opinions that I have given. This is a place where you can express yours. We can agree to disagree. But do your own research. Don't be one of the people out here talking loudly with a little bit of information. Don't be that. Those are the people we have to begin to ignore. We give them way too much of our power and our energy and our focus and attention. So I will see you next time right here. I am DVS, the Brick City Monk, and as always, it's been a pleasure.